So here we go. Let's get started. So, this is an interesting conversation. I'm going to share something with you guys. I literally had the intention of this training being 3 classes a week, 2 hours a class, right? That's how much I wanted to be around your guys' hemisphere. It's not really feasible, and it's harder to get people to attach to more and more time. And the reality is the goal of being here is so that you spend less time working and make a lot more money, right? So as we attach to these things more and more, it's about working less and making more money by being a professional, having a plan, knowing what you need to do, focusing on the motivated, right? So the reason I'm sharing that with you is it's like literally if I wasn't to say a word and we were to start on a business planning clinic takes 2 hours. I used to spend 2 days on my business plan for the entire year. My partner and I would literally do a retreat for 2 days. So a business plan takes 2 hours. So I'm going to walk you through these numbers very quickly. And here's the reality, right? I'm also going to share with you the link so that you guys can download it and have the copy of the business plan. The reality is there's only 20 people in this class, and I think by the end of this week, we'll only have 16. I want to see your business plans. I want you to work on your business plan and then share it with me, because that way I can simply show you how to tweak it and how to make it massively effective. So that's really the goal overall. And actually, let me do this. Okay. Before I get started, let me open up, stop sharing, chat. Okay. I'm sharing a link with you guys in the chat. You can download the business plan now in the chat, and I'll go back to the business plan. So that's a version that's editable that you guys have for yourselves that you can keep and utilize for the rest of your lives. And then I'll show you how it works. Okay, let's get back to the slideshow. View slideshow. Okay. So, should the real estate market influence your business plan? Absolutely. We've been talking about it. We've been talking about headed into a market where it's geared towards investors, right? We've been talking about being able to activate people in that realm. We're moving into a market where we're going to see more and more distressed properties coming on the market. So your business plan should absolutely be influenced, whatever year you're in, whatever quarter you're in, by the market that you're in. So what type of lead generation is going to open up in this market that we're starting to see? We've talked about this a lot, right? It's the door knockers, it's the callers, it's people who are showing that they are proactive, are going to absolutely get into relationship with people very quickly because they're looking for proactive people. The other part of the equation is people that are taking the lead, that are literally saying, I got this, let's get together, let me show you what's happening in the marketplace so we can make a decision educatedly, right? It's the more you take control of the scenarios that clients are going to be walking into or feeling very concerned about, the more people are going to run to you because they're looking for someone to hold their hand and treat them like the amateur and be the professional, right? So all of lead generation will open up. There will be less business overall, right? And at the same time, there'll be so much more business for those that are proactive. There will be so much business opening up to anybody that's proactive. So expireds and for sale by owners, those are going to open up massively, right? They're going to be a lot more expireds. For sale by owners aren't going to be able to sell on their own, right? And I'll tell you a secret, right? Most for sale by owners give up after the first week. You literally just have to stay in touch for 2 or 3 weeks, and you're guaranteed to get for sale by owner deals. Like I can teach you all of these things on such a massive scale, and York is literally focusing on expireds right now, right? So I think next week we're doing an expired training, York. So we'll really be able to dial in everything you're doing with expires. Distressed properties, pre-foreclosure, right? Look, all of this stuff happens from real conversations. Two objections you have to know in 2023, right? If you can't handle a pricing conversation of you need to price your property right in order to sell it, you will be sitting on inventory and working your tail off and having very little to show for it. You have to be a master of your pricing conversation, and they're not complicated, right? We just need to be aware of these things. So it's not like I need you to be a master of every conversation. We need to be a master of pricing conversations in 2023, right? Does that make sense? Absolutely. And then the other one, like on the buyer side, I want a deal, right? As more and more distressed properties are coming through, you're going to have buyers who are like, bring me a deal, bring me a deal, bring me a deal, right? And that's not a real buyer. That's a buyer who's looking to find a deal and will work with anybody that brings them that deal. That's it, right? So in my realm, we've talked about this before. In my realm, I'd rather have a list of all my buyers that are looking in that price range and email them and have the one that I want reach out to me and say, oh, I like this deal, versus the opposite of like you chasing after clients, trying to bring them deals and them sitting around waiting for the best deal they possibly can get. And they don't care how much time or energy you've wasted, right? And so we really want to be intentful about how we do business moving forward. So a couple of things we really need to attach to right now, all of you. Business is counterintuitive to human nature, right? Our human nature is about doing things that we have that are in front of us. And in business, you have to take a step back. You literally have to take a step back in business and handle it differently and be professional, right? And focus on the motivator, the things that we keep talking about, but it's not normal. It doesn't feel normal, right? So understand that if it feels counterintuitive or it doesn't feel good for you at the beginning, that's okay. Business is counterintuitive to human nature. Consistency, be consistent in everything that you're doing, right? When you're consistent with your lead gen and you're consistent in running your business the right way, you will have more than enough business. I promise you that. Find and work with the motivated. Looking for the motivated is the most important thing in 2023. There will be plenty of motivated people. You just have to really ask questions and find out what their motivation is. Number 5, monitor 1 quarter at a time. You know, our goal with this program is to literally be doing 90 days at a time, because I want you guys to hear this. It takes 90 days. If you started lead genning today, it takes 90 days to see the fruits of your labor. You won't see results until day 90, because any lead gen you're doing today is potential business that you have to follow up on, follow through on, and potentially get into business with. It takes 90 days. That's why we focus 1 quarter at a time, literally. Work less and make more. We've talked about this, right? The more you start to really focus. So this is something important I want to share with you guys, because I saw this happen today almost, right? If you have a client who says that they're motivated, and yet it's a really complex scenario, you have to decide how much time, energy, and effort can I invest into this client, or am I better off spending that time and energy finding somebody motivated? And the answer to that question is every single time you'll be better off focusing on talking to more people and finding somebody that's ready to do a deal right away than trying to make a deal happen. Does that make sense? Create a sellable business. See, if you understand your business, if I know that I can pull $250,000 from my database every single year for business by staying in communication with it, then I have a sellable business. It's the only time you have a sellable business when you know how much business you have coming in. When you can track it, when you know what's going on, then you can sell your business, right? And it's not that complex. We really, I promise you guys, it's counterintuitive, right? So we're literally over 90 days building out our way of doing things a little bit differently. You know, I always say little nuances in real estate make massive differences. They change everything. Simple ways of doing business. And duplicatable results. Your results need to be duplicatable. What does that mean? That means that I can duplicate them over and over and over again, right? I can do the same thing over and over and over again and get the same results. If you are doing something that you can't duplicate to get the same results, then it's not a duplicatable business, and it's not where you want to focus your energy and attention, right? So York, I'm using you as an example, right? York wants to go after expireds. Like if York knows that he needs to talk to, and I'm not going to throw a number, right? If York knows that if he talks to, I'm going to throw out a number, 100 people in a month, like 100 expireds, he gets one deal. That's a duplicatable business, right? Now we can put in leverage and we can put in systems around it to make sure that each one of those turns into 2 deals, right? Each one turns, but that's a duplicatable business. Duplicatable means you can duplicate the results over and over again. And when you have a duplicatable business, then you know what you need to do to leverage it to grow it, right? So when we business plan, you know, every part of this program, every part of this 90-day program is scale of 1 to 10. 10 being you're doing everything that we're talking about. And I'm not expecting anybody to do a 10, right? 1 being you're doing the bare minimum. You know, I would love to see you guys move from a 5 to a 6 to a 7. When you hit 7, you're going to get more than anything that you want. When you really are at a 7 in terms of commitment, consistency, doing things the right way, you start to see results happen so fast. So our growth comes from a combination of business planning and pushing ourselves past our comfort zone. One thing I want to share with you guys is I realized this over the past few weeks. You know, pushing yourself past your comfort zone, the results are fairly quick. Like when you really push yourself past your comfort zone, the universe will show up and give you results quickly. It's not like you have to really push yourself past your comfort zone for a year or for 6 months. You literally just have to do things that make you really uncomfortable, and you start to see results happen from them. So I want you guys to hear that, because just push yourself past your comfort zone. And like what your comfort zone is very different than what my comfort zone is, right, Edgar? I have a different comfort zone than you have. What's comfortable, something might be so comfortable for me, it might be so uncomfortable for you. Something might be really comfortable for you, it might be uncomfortable for me. You guys have to start seeing what is pushing yourself past your comfort zones look like, because that's where the magic happens in the universe. So start to think about that. Okay. So the goal of the business plan is literally to just keep you on track, know your strengths and weaknesses, improve your conversion ratios, and systematize your lead gen and follow-up. Database management, emails and nurturing, newsletters, micro reports, holidays, concierge, storylines, articles. We're going to work on all of this stuff and how do you maximize your newsletters, right? How do you maximize your micro reports? Every single thing that you do, especially storylines, telling stories is beautiful. And Edgar and Scott, I want you guys to hear that, because you're in a position right now where you guys have stories to start to tell, right? If you're working with clientele and somebody does something that prevents them from getting all the offers they want to get or getting the price they want to get, that's your story to tell to the next seller. You literally have a, hey, this is what happened with the last person who didn't listen to us, right? Who did this way. Here's what the results were. So you guys need to start, as you start to get more and more productive, guys, you start to develop storylines. These are the skills you master in order to literally, I call it end the game of real. When you master these, the game of real estate's over. You can create whatever business you want, wherever you want, anytime you want, once you master these things. So your UVP, your unique value proposition, that's what we're focused on Wednesday. We are literally going to be focused on eliciting your values, finding out what's most important to you in your business, and then how do you position it so that you can use that as your, why should you work with me, right? What's my value proposition? Simple question-based lead generation. We do this all the time, guys. We're focused on this on such a large level. Rapport building questions, buyer consultation, listing presentation, buyer broker agreement, objection handling. Once you know these pieces, skills, social media, open houses, once you know these skills, CRM is your database, right? And branding. We won't get into branding. Okay. So now I want you guys to pull up your business plan. Let's take a look at the business plan. I'm going to go to the summary page, right? So what's my net commission income? I'm going to put in 250,000. Okay. So if it's $250,000 and I'm working 40 weeks and my split is, let's say 80-20, right? I'm going to make this 20%. We always allocate 10% to operating expenses. I'm less interested in that right now, but we'll talk about that too. So what percentage of my business is coming from buyers and what percentage from listings? Now you see only one is changeable. You don't need them both to be. Let's just say 50-50, right? So if I change this to 50, you see how it changes to 50 on the listings underneath? Do you guys see that? So now, if I want 50% of my business to come from buyers and 50% to come from sellers, and my average sales price is 1.1, right? Average commission's 2.5%. Now I need to figure out how many deals I'm going to do from haven't mets and have mets. So look at the met contact, right? Let's say I have 60%, 60 mets. So let's say my sphere is not great. I have 60 people in my sphere that I can get business from. Your mets is your sphere or past clients. Haven't mets is anybody you don't know. That's new people, anybody you don't know. So if I have 60 people in my sphere, right, that's going to change how much business I have from mets and how much I have from haven't mets. Let's say I change that number to 100, right? If I have 100 people in my sphere, then I'm going to get a specific amount of business from my conversion ratio of 5%. So for every 10 people in your database, right? For every 100 people in your database, you should have a 5% conversion ratio. That means 5 deals, right? Everybody with me on that? Now, your conversion ratio is actually 10% because it should be 1 deal and 1 referral. Do you guys get that? Your database is meant for deals and most importantly for referrals. So if I have a 10% conversion ratio from 100 people in my database, how many deals is that? 10 deals, right? 10% conversion rate from 100 people in my database is 10 deals. Do you guys get that? 1 is a referral and 1 is an actual deal. Now look over here. Look at the Met sales. Do you guys see that? It equals 10, right? Do you see that? Forget about the buyers versus listing side. That's that's a second part of the conversation. I just need you guys to see Mets versus haven't Mets, right? So let's say I only have 10 people in my Mets database. Well, then I'm only going to get 1 deal, right? Do you guys see that, how it changes? If I have 50 people, that's 5 deals, right? Now, what I want you to understand this is why we're setting this 90-day program up, because the magic in your database happens from the conversation, from calling your sphere, not from dripping on them, from newsletters, from all of that. It's from connecting with them once every quarter. That's why if I have 50 people in my database that I can connect with once a quarter, and there's 60 days in a quarter, right? 20 days in a month, working days, 40, 60, then I'm literally calling less than 1 person a day. So let's change that to 150. So if I have 150 people in my database, that's 15 deals. You understand? That's why you see the haven't met side. That's why it's at 0, because I can get all the business that I want from my database. When I change these numbers and make my database less good, then I'll have to get more of my business from haven't mets, right? And that's really where we're at, because the goal is to build your database to a point where you can call it once every quarter and just get your business from it. Sally Forster Jones, anybody know who that is? Yeah, she calls 50 people in her database a day. A day. Right? You guys get that? Because she has a robust enough database to just go in her database and get business from there, because she spent so many years building it. So that's the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal is, you know, we're calling them once a quarter. So if I have 150 people in my database, and that's why we're creating a new CRM for you guys, where you are literally putting the people into your database in your sphere that you're calling, right? We're putting them separate sphere, because these are the people we're going to call once every quarter. And I know we haven't all been doing that yet. It's a habit. We're working on it. I promise you, you guys are doing amazing. I promise you guys are doing wonderful. Okay, so here's the deal, right? So if I have 150 people and there's 60 days in a quarter, that means I call 3 a day, right? 3 times 60 is what? What's 3 times 60? 180. So I'm calling less than 3. I'm calling 2.5 a day. Does that make sense? So now I know that where I'm going to get my business. When we have really intentful, specific conversations like we're doing now, and you guys are really getting great at, then we know where we get our business from. We know part of it's going to be from our sphere and database, and part of it's going to be from haven't mets. And the eventuality is I can completely, after 4 years, 5 years, move right into only people I know. And they'll give me referrals, and they'll give me other people, and I'll still be building my database, and I'll still be doing deals and meeting people and building. But I just have to focus on my database at that point. So you guys are in complete control of your business. So let's just take that down to 30 people, right? So that means now, if I want to do $250,000, right? Then I have to do 8.5 deals from people I don't know. See, all this stuff is auto-calculated for you. Do you see the gross commission, the business plan summary? You guys see that? It says 312,500. Gross sales volume is 12,500,000. Net commissions 250. Estimated operating expenses 10%, 31,000. It's all auto-calculated for you. All of this stuff is going to be auto-calculated for you. So in order to get the deals, in order to get that 300,000, you need 12 deals, right? 6 buyer, 6 seller. If it's 50-50, right? Let's say I'm focused mostly on listings, which is where we really want to focus. So your listing to buyer ratio should be 80-20. 80% listing, 20% buyers. By the way, listings bring you all the buyers that you need and then some. I never have to focus on buyers when I'm a listing agent, because they come to me. I just don't. The whole business plan is focused on listings because the buyers come to me. I hope that makes sense. By the way, if there's any questions, this is open for you guys, so you can ask a question along the way today. Okay, so we got the 1.1 million average sales price. That's approximately what it is in our area, so I use that as a number. So we got our average buyer commission, average seller commission, buyer sales, listing sales. So so listing sales a year, 9, right? So in order to sell 9 listings, how many listings do I need to take? 10, because you only sell about 90% of your listings. You need to know your ratios, right? So look at this conversion ratio up here. How many appointments do I have to a buyer contract? So if I'm at 90%, that means what? The 9 out of the 10 people I work with, I meet with, I'm going to get a buyer contract. Now, how many buyer contracts do I need to have in order to close one? Do deals fall out of escrow? Yeah, of course they do on the buyer side, right? So I usually like to do 90% as a basis, right? Because you're never going to get 100% of them. 90% as a basis. That's why you see 90% and 90%. Now, how many appointments do I have to go on to take a listing? Let's say it's 50%, right? So for every 2 appointments, I get 1 listing. Does that make sense? And the ratio in general should be somewhere between 75 and 90, especially if you're going after people you don't know, it will be 70. 70 would be a great ratio. If you're going after people you don't know. So for every 10 appointments I go on, that's a 70. I would change that here, right? So I get 70%. I get 7 out of 10 listings. Listings taken to closed ratio. Once again, it's 90%, right? Because for every 10 listings I take, I'm going to sell 9 of them. So now, you know, you need 9 sales from having mets, right? And 7 of them are going to be listings and 2 of them are going to be buyers. So let's just focus on that for a minute. Let's say I want 7 listing sales this year, okay, from having mets. So if I want 7 listing sales this year from having mets, how many people do I need to talk to a month to get a listing? Well, now it's going to depend on where's your focus, because I want you guys to pick niches that you focus on, right? What happens is we want to encapsulate every piece of real estate, so we are master of none, so to speak, right? We want to get really good at the ones that we choose. So if it's geographic, if it's door knocking, geographic farm, that's one thing, right? If it's out-of-state owners, if it's pre-foreclosure, there's a million different buckets we could choose. This is where I want you guys to start focusing on, where do you want to build your business for your career, right? So for every so if I want to do 9 listings, listing sales, 7 listing sales, right? Then I have to take 8 listings. So how many people do you have to talk to a month in order to take 8 listings? And 8 listings a year. It's less than 1 a month, right? For every 100 people that you talk to in a geographic farm, you'll get 1 listing. So let's just imagine for hypothetical purposes, right? We are doing it by geographic farming. It could be just listed phone calls, just sold phone calls. It could be door knocking. It could be, if you're focused on a geographic farm, for every 100 people you talk to, you're going to get 1 listing. So if I talk to 5 people a day, right, that I don't know, that's 1 hour a day of lead gen. That's 25 a week. That means every month I'm going to have 1 listing. Does that make sense? And I promise you this, when we get really good at it and intentful, it happens like that. You should be able to do more than 1 per 100. I'm always conservative because we start off and we get better and better and better. And so our conversion ratios improve as we keep practicing and getting better. So our numbers just keep getting better and better and better. Does that make sense to you guys? So the more intentful we are about this, the better. So look at this, right? Literally having met sales, listing sales 7, buyer sales 2. Now, if you look down here, it's going to tell you like contacts. So I'm going to make 55 contacts a month, which is 16 a week, which is 3 daily, in order to get the business I want to get. Open houses, right? I'm going to sit 3 yearly. We won't get into, I won't get into these numbers. I'll show you an easier way of doing it, right? Let's go to met activity. Okay, So now I'm in the Met activity. This is all people I know. So if I want to have 3 sales for my Met database, right? And I have 30 people in my Met database, that means I'm calling them once a quarter. So yearly, it's 120 calls. Monthly, it's 10. Weekly, it's 3. Daily, it's 1. I'm calling 1 person a day in my database. That's it. Emails to my database, right? So if I have 30 people and there's 360 emails, monthly it's 30, weekly it's 9, daily it's 2. I'm sending out 2 emails a day to my database. That's it. When we know those numbers and we know who we're contacting, then it becomes really simple and easy. Let's focus on the have and mets. So if I want my sales to come from have and mets, 9 sales, right? 7 from listings, 2 from buyers. So this is where you guys are going to get into conversion ratios. By the way, the next tab is conversion ratios, just so you guys see different things here. And I've added some buckets for you to be able to choose from as you're moving forward. Look at the conversion ratios. You got FSBOs, expireds, just listed, door knocking. They all have their own conversion ratio. You see client parties here. One of the favorite things I love doing was a client party every 6 months, or a Sphere client party, right? A buyer seminar we talked about. You can pick up 4 buyers at once. These are conversion ratios, right? So now going back to here, if I want 60% of my business to come from just sold, right? Then that means I need to make 2 contacts daily in order to get 60% of my business from listings, sellers, right? 60% of sellers. So we got 7 sellers. 60% is like 4, something like that, right? 4 sales right here. Yeah, 4 sales. 4.5 contracts, 6.4 appointments. I'm going to change that. I just changed it to 100% just so we can all look at it, right? Ooh. Okay. So do you see that? So I need 10.6 appointments. I need to talk to 3.3 people daily in the seller world, whether it be absentee owners or geographic. I need to talk to 3.3. So let's say 4. I always round up 4 people a day in order to get 11 appointments, in order to get 8 contracts, in order to get 7 sales. You guys see that? Everybody? I just want to, the reason I want to highlight it is because once we understand this and we break it down into week by week, what we have to do, that's all we're doing in our accountability group, right? All we doing it, what did we have to do for this week? What did we do for this week? And what's our goal for next week? And when we really business plan at the highest level, it becomes so easy. And then we focus on mastering our conversations because it's like, oh, okay, I got to improve my conversion ratio. That's all. And once we get into simple conversations, we really improve our conversion ratios. So I just took this and made it 100% from just sold. Let's say I wanted to make it from expireds, right? Oops, 1,000, 100. There we go. Okay. So 100% from expireds, right? It's 3.3 contacts daily. Still 11 appointments in order to get 8. Edgar.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Maybe you said it, maybe I missed it. For the just listed buyer activity, what is that? In the buyer activity where it says just listed?
Buyer activity for just listed would be calling around listings looking for an actual buyer.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Or door knocking looking for an actual buyer.
Got it.
right? And Edgar, Edgar's the perfect person to bring that question up, because Edgar, you know more than anybody that I can do the exact same thing in the same conversation focused on buyers and on sellers.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Because I mean, if we're doing a just listed call, the conversation goes into, hey, York, I want to give you an opportunity to pick your new neighbor. Who do you know wants to move into the neighborhood, right? Which is the buyer conversation. And then we switch right into the, maybe they do, maybe they don't. And maybe they're a buyer, that too, right? So my point is we can, I don't want to say kill, but we can encapsulate like all of it in one conversation. That's why we really focus on the seller side of things. So like if you wanted to do a first-time home buyer presentation seminar, let's say you wanted 100% of your business to come from that on the buyer side, just from home buyer seminar. These are the amount of contacts you'd have to make. So basically, you'd have to make one contact weekly, which is 4 a month. So if I did a first-time home buyer seminar once every 6 months, I would need to contact 24 people to come to it, right? That's really what it comes down to. I mean, if 10 people come to a first-time home buyer seminar, you're picking up 3 of them. Because you're taking away the fear from buying, you're showing them how easy it is, and you're moving an action plan forward, right? So let's say I wanted it to come from my buyers to come from open houses, okay? 100% from open houses. Let's do that. Okay, so that means I need to make 50 contacts yearly for a month. So if I do 1 open house a month, am I going to make 4 contacts? Yeah, right? I mean, there's a chance that you don't, right? You may make 4 one time. I mean, you may make 8 one time and 0 another, but it equals out. You'll make 4 on average, right? So that means that I need to hold 1 open house a month. That's it. I mean, less than that, actually. You need to make 50 yearly contacts, 4 monthly. Yeah, 1 open house a month will get me into the sales that I want. It's interesting because I was talking to Manuel about this yesterday. You know, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make with buyers is at open houses, they want to capture all of the buyers. And if there's 10 people coming through an open house, I want 9 of them, I want to pre-qualify them all, and 9 of them I don't want to work with, and 1 I want to work with. And that's it. And everybody else wants to try to capture all 10 of them, and they work 5,000 times as hard and have nothing to show for it. And I want the one who wants to work the way I want to work as a professional, do a buyer consultation, right? And they're out there. You just have to ask questions and dig deeper. So here's where your numbers come out, right? You're going to decide what your activities that you want from the potential activities here. And I want to be clear about this. The business planning part is the most comprehensive or the most difficult part. That's why I want you guys to create one and send it to me. There's only 20 people in this group. Once you send me yours, I can work with you one-on-one on really just getting it right. And if there's any mistakes or anything we need to clean up, I can work with you on cleaning it up. Okay. Let's go back. Hold on a second. Summary. Met, haven't met. Conversion ratios. And then quarterly plan, right? Because it breaks down into what you have to do quarterly. So this literally tells me I have to sit 1 open house a quarter. I have to have 1 buyer consult a quarter, 1 buyer broker agreement, 4 listing appointments, and 3 listing contracts a quarter. This tells me what I need to do every quarter. here are your conversion ratios. So like, if there's something else you want to ask about, just ask me. I'll give you the conversion ratios. But in general, we've included investors, open houses, apartment buildings, just listed, allied resources, most likely to sell, apartments, vendor lists, builders, for sale. But I mean, these are just some examples so that you can get some numbers from there. Questions? Okay. So let's go back to the first page. So now, let's just say I want to make this 100K. And I don't have anybody I know that I can get business from. So that's basically telling me I have to do 5 sales in order to make 100K. 4 of them are from listings because I did 80-20, right? Let's say most of our business comes from buyers, right now. So let's say 80% buyers, 20% listings. See, so now you know your numbers, right? I need to do 5 sales from people I don't know, and 4 of them are going to be buyer sales. So if I need 4 buyer sales, and that's 40 weeks throughout the year, right? If I need 4 buyer sales, that's 1 every quarter. I need 1 sale every quarter. And so when we don't have a business plan, we focus on everything. When we really get into this like light business planning, then we can really focus on getting all the business that you want to get and leveraging it and getting a lot more. But when you don't know where it's coming from, it's so hard to see the big picture. Does that make sense to you guys? That's why, the biggest mistake people make with business planning is they create a business plan and then they never look at it again because it's not broken down into week by week. The only thing you have to do is break it down into week by week in order for us to be able to get the results that we want out of it. Week by week and month by month. Okay. So on the first page, you guys have instructions. Gives you some examples, right? You should all have this downloaded now. And so what I want you guys to do, not today, because we only have an hour, but I'd like for you guys to fill this out. Once again, I would take it and make it into what are we in? We're in April, May. So May, right? May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So we're looking at 6, 7, 8 times 4 is 30. I mean, 30 weeks. I would probably make that 30 weeks, right? Because it's between now and the end of the year. This business plan should be from now until the end of the year. Whatever you guys create will be from now till the end of the year. So how much business do you want to do between now and the end of the year? And this will break it down, and then we can literally break it down into week by week activities. Does that make sense? Cool. Well, it's 10:50, so let's open it up to questions. What questions do you guys have? York?
Hey, Ophir, yeah, I just had a question about the conversion ratios. Those are, I guess, pretty conservative, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
My entire business is based on under promise and over deliver, right? I say that to my clients too. So yeah, I mean, we want to be conservative with our conversion ratios. They do get much better and better over time, but these are conservative.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? So here's my goal, guys. We literally, this is the one of the harder things to learn, and yet we've created it so that you can literally plug in numbers without having to do a lot of work. So I want you guys to plug in your numbers. There's no right or wrong, right? The only wrong thing would be not sharing it with me so that I could work with it on you, work with you on it, excuse me. That would be the only wrong thing. Anybody else? Justin, it's nice to see you. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts? Good. So on Wednesday, we're literally going to create our value proposition, which is one of the most powerful exercises. That day is one of my favorites. So I want you really just to focus on keeping this simple and sharing it with me so that we can really just tweak it and work on it for the next 90 days together. Perfect. Awesome. Wonderful job. Thank you for being here, everybody. And we will talk to you very soon. Thanks, guys.